Gentlemen, this is the compass screen of the GBD-H2000, G-Shock's flagship fitness watch. And let me ask you something. Is this adequate? Is this legible? Can you tell which way is north? All right. When you look at this little tick right here, that's supposed to be pointing north. So if this watch was worn and you look down at it at arm's length, you're going to be able to quickly acquire which direction is north. All right, because I made a re-review of this watch and I was saying that that's a pretty small tick, right? And I was asking, why are they not using the whole rest of the screen? You get this big screen here. Why is the tick so small? You know, that the Casio programmers are given a lot to work with, and it seemed to me like this is pathetic, right? And at the time I made the video, I was yelling, all right, and I had a lot of pre-workout supplement type of stuff. May have been a little too energetic in that re-review because I do like this watch. I gave it 5 stars, but I rounded up. I have a lot of problems with the software, but the watch itself is really nice. And so in my re-review, I kind of went off, and that was one of the things, that tiny little tick. All right. For example, this is the Mudman. All right, the GW-9500. It, using an archaic LCD display, still has, uses a whole screen to show the compass rose, right? And so this one, subpar. Okay, but I got a comment that I want to read, and it is from Alex Avet 53, and he says, "This is why you never follow advice from any YouTube, as everyone has its own opinion based on his level of knowledge, which could be just stupid. Using smaller arrow in compass designed to save energy, the same as phase 2 option with lower resolution. No one is obligated to make something to satisfy someone's need for 100%. You're responsible to do your own homework before buying something." All right. And so he brought up an interesting point, which I hadn't considered, which is that some of the design in the screen, their strategy may have been to save energy. And I suppose the premise is that the black part of the screen is not using energy, while the illuminated white part is. Okay. Now, if that's the case, yeah, I guess a tiny little tick would save a lot more energy than having using the whole watch face for the compass rose. But my response was that I don't think that's true because first of all, why have the whole circle there, right? Why not use those pixels for the arrow? And even still, like, that arrow's filled in. Like, if there's a certain number of pixels in the arrow, let's say that there's this many pixels and they're all filled in, why not take that many pixels and make just the perimeter of a triangle? And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, an isosceles triangle is kind of dumb. Why not have like an arrow like that, like a double, so you have like kind of like 2 arrows, and that helps you kind of draw a better line. That's the whole purpose of an arrow, right? But for some reason, it seemed like they're reinventing the wheel. No arrow, just a tick for north. And so that's how I responded to Alex Avet, and I told him his comment was a steaming pile of malarkey. but he responded saying that the program, essentially, he said the programmers aren't using like bitmap. Like, he said that he says when you have pixels, when you have filled pixels, you can write coordinate range to shape arrow. For example, 1 to 2, 1 to 10, 2 to 9, 3 to 8, 4 to 6, and 5. With basic do loop function, which is faster and frees variable space. If they use a line like you suggesting, then each pixel should be attached with separate function, which takes more variable space, slower, and definitely is going to use more energy. All right, so these are some finer details of programming, which I guess this gentleman is familiar with. And this level of detail I'm not familiar with, this level of programming, but I understand, you have variable space, register space, and every single instruction is going to take up energy from the battery, which, runs out, unfortunately. But I'm just not buying it, okay? My contention is that there's a lot of lazy programming here. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some engineering reasons why, for example, the timer only goes up to 60 minutes, or the stopwatch can't calculate the tenths or hundredths of a second. Now, I understand the MIP display can't show you the tenths or hundredths of a second on the stopwatch, but why can't they just fill it at the end when you press stop, right? I mean, all these things seem like lazy programming. They're just trying to rush the product out the door, all right? Now, Alex Avet53 is saying that they're trying to, save energy for all the loops that the programming has to do. And, I mean, he may be right, okay? Obviously, he seems to know a little bit about programming, but I'm just not buying it, guys. I mean, and so I think that, when you're looking at this thing with the programming, who would think that this tiny little tick's a good idea? It's hardly even bigger than the tip of the Zebra F701 pen, right? That is really small, ridiculously small, okay? Why don't we have a big arrow like this? Garmin Instinct 2X Solar, okay? Here's a picture of it in a navigation mode. See that checkered flag indicates the finish line, and it's giving this wearer navigation. It's calculating navigation. The screen is white, okay? So you scroll down here to specs. What kind of display type does it have? Monochrome, sunlight visible, transflective, memory in pixel, MIP. Same display as the GBD-H2000. Retails at $349.99, so it's about the same price as the GBD-H2000. The whole screen's white. Do Garmin engineers not know that this is going to burn up the battery? Well, let's look at the battery life. Battery life, where is it? Smartwatch, 40 days. Guys, that's crazy. In testing this watch, right? I don't think that just as a watch, the battery lasts very long. And then in Expedition GPS mode, where is that? 60 da's. If you work out, with the GPS, you're only gonna, and you have the heart rate monitor on, you're probably only get about a week of battery life, right? There's no expedition mode on this, so there's not a direct comparison. But the battery life is not nearly as good as this Garmin Instinct Solar, because it's saying that the smartwatch is unlimited, and Casio makes no such claim for the GBD-H2000 as far as I can tell. And this is despite the Garmin programmers using a lot of white pixels. But here's the thing. Remember I was telling you that this arrow would be a great arrow, would be really clear? Well, the funny thing is that I was looking through. All right, let's find the Garmin's. Oh, here it is. This is the Garmin's compass. Look at that arrow. It's an outline, the exact same arrow that I had conceived, right? And along the perimeters is the compass rose. That's their solution to it. And then in this little circle is the bearing in degrees. So it's outrageous, really, to me. Look at that arrow. So if this was worn on your wrist and it was at arm's length, you look at that arrow on the Instinct, and I can tell. I don't know if this arrow is pointing. I guess this arrow is just pointing which way this bearing is, but still, much easier to read arrow, right? And then on the Garmin, the compass rose is along the perimeter. So the Garmin uses all the space. The GBD-H2000 does not. It's just a big empty screen. It's sad, right? So the other point that Alex Avett brought up, and I'll try to explain it before this battery dies. I think it's about to die because this camera is so stupid. But anyways, if you go to Phase 2, so Phase 2, where is it? Is it in the general settings or the watch settings? Let's try the watch settings. Yeah, there we go. All right, face 2. All right. It has an animation reminiscent of old G-Shocks, like like the ones with the circles, right? So it's made to mimic the LCD display. And formerly, they had to use big chunks to display the seconds like this. So this is a throwback, right? What I'm saying is they don't need the throwback anymore. You could have, with the screen resolution, you could have like an actual 60 segments to this little pie on face 2, because this is meant to display the seconds. And I would have to sit down with a piece of paper and really figure out, like, it would push the limits of my double-digit IQ to figure out whether they save any battery power by having the seconds tick away like this, rather than have like 60 little segments that tick away for a minute. You know what I mean? I think that on average it should be the same, because it starts off with 0 illuminated, then it ends with all of it illuminated. So it should average out. That's just my pea brain thinking. But anyways, I'm not buying it, but I appreciate the comment from Alex Avet. And the other thing is that he's saying you can't trust people on the internet. Well, yeah, you can't trust commenters either. But I do appreciate the comment, and it's a really good point. And if you have any comments, leave them below. My name is James Kincaid. Thanks for watching.